This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face. You with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game. Talk trash all you want. To me, it's all the same. You won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by Maria Ho. This week we wrap up our event here at the Commerce Casino right outside of Los Angeles, California.
Last week we brought to you the first part of this exciting final table, and there's still a lot of great players left.
Not only will the winner walk away a champion, but they'll also go home with almost $160,000 in prize money. Jeff Madsen came up short in his quest for back-to-back titles here at the Commerce, but there are still plenty of talented players left at the table.
Commerce is considered a poker mecca, and all of these remaining players would love to join the elite list of HPT champions.
Well, we're so excited to crown our new HPT champion, and we hope you are too. Let's head right down to the felt and shuffle up and deal.
First place prize is just under $160,000. Second place, $112,000, but the remaining 6 players are all guaranteed to take home just over $32,000. Jonathan Chen came into the final table as our chip leader and is still holding on to that top spot. He's got over $5.5 million. Bruce Kramer in the second spot has just over $4 million. And we've got 2 short stacks, Danny Geyser with 11 big blinds and Peter Hinksicle with just 4 big blinds.
We started with 9 at this final table. We are down to our final 6.
For the record,
and tonight, we will crown a new HPT champion, and they'll go home with just under $160,000. All right, blinds are $60,000, $120,000 with a $15K ante. Chris is going to open the action now with pocket 8s. He's going to raise to $290,000. And now Peter is going to push all in with his pocket 4s.
Peter's only got 4 big blinds and pocket 4s. He's going to go with it.
David looks down at King 10. He's going to fold. Now over to Bruce Kramer, who looks at Queen Jack.
Bruce is going to call with Queen Jack offsuit on the button, and I actually don't like that. There's still the blinds left to act, plus the action could be reopened when it gets back to Chris. So it's kind of on the loose side for me.
Jonathan thought about calling. He folds, as does Danny. Now it's over to Chris to make the call.
5 more. You guys can fold.
It's only $5,000 more for Chris to make the call here, so he of course calls. 3 ways to the flop. Peter is all in.
Hi, my name is Peter Hinksicle. I'm from Pasadena, California, and I'm a real estate investor. Well, it's obviously super exciting. Yesterday on the bubble, I was like, is this really going to happen again? Am I really going to final table this? So I'm super pumped to be here. Hopefully, I can improve on that 7th place finish.
Good luck, Peter.
Thanks.
You could be up to 1 million chips again.
And the flop is 10, deuce, 3, 2 diamonds.
And as you can see by the percentages here, Chris still in the lead here with his pocket 8. And he's going to bet $250,000. Bruce is going to get out of the way. Peter's all in, so we're going to flip over the cards here. And Peter's going to see he's behind to Chris's pocket 8s. And we go to the turn, Maria. It's the 6 of clubs.
Peter now has a gut shot straight draw to go with needing 1 of 2 4s in the deck.
If he doesn't hit it, he'll be our 6th place finisher, going home with just over $32,000 in cash. And the river card is the 5 of clubs.
And Miracle River for Peter. He looks a little sheepish. He knows that the people want to be down to 5 players and get a paid jump.
You gotta be
If you didn't see us last week, we saw a lot of the short stacks doubling up here at this final table. There's been magic in the air here in Southern California. Peter hits the 5, makes his straight to stay alive at this nationally televised final table. All right, folks, it's time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and Maria Ho. We're right outside of Los Angeles, California. We're so excited because tonight's winner will go home with just under $160,000 in cash. Let's head back to the final table.
Jonathan Chen with $5.2 million, still our chip leader. Bruce and David are pretty close in the chip counts, both players well above $3 million. And our short stacks are Peter and Danny here with 12 and 11 big blinds respectively. Blinds are still $60,000, $120,000 with a $15K ante.
We'll start under the gun with the 1 seat of Peter, and he folds.
David looks down at King Jack of clubs.
Contemplating a raise here.
My name is David Rosenblum. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm a film editor, and this is my first televised final table.
In last week's episode, Maria, we saw David double up a couple times as he was the short stack and won both of his all-ins, and he's still very much alive here at this final table. He's going to raise it to $250,000.
And a huge hand here right behind him. Bruce wakes up with pocket kings. Bruce is just over 30 big blinds. It'll be interesting to see how he wants to play this. Tricky with it. Looks like he's just gonna flat David's raise here. I like that play.
Danny folds, now over to the 9 seat of Chris.
You know, it's hard to get dealt such premium hands, so you really want to maximize the value when you do get dealt these monsters.
It's David's King Jack going up against the pocket kings of Bruce. And the flop, Maria, 10-7 tray, all clubs.
Well, David's flopped the flush here, and as you can see, Bruce is pretty much drawing dead to runner, boat. But the good news is Bruce did slow play this to begin with, so maybe with this flop and his slow playing, he won't lose as many chips as he would have had he fast played.
David bets 350,000 chips, quickly called by Bruce. The turn card, the Queen of Spades. David starts once again.
And I know that Bruce probably can't love this board, especially without a club in his hand, so this might end up saving him some money.
David's going to bet 1.1 million chips. It's over to Bruce.
It is hard to let go of pocket kings, though. You do still have an overpair to the board. You can't just give your opponent a flop flush here.
And he's going to make the call.
And I think, depending on the river, it could save Bruce that one last bet. If another club comes on the river, then I believe Bruce will be able to lay it down. Ooh, but that's a bad card for Bruce. I think this 3 of diamonds pairing the board will actually make him want to call.
Bruce maybe thinks David has 1 club, not 2 clubs, or he wouldn't be calling this. And now David goes all in, so a big decision now to Bruce.
Bruce only has a couple 100,000 more in chips than David, so Bruce knows that this is essentially his tournament life that he's playing for if he makes this call as well.
Tough decision here for Bruce.
I'm the best player at this table. There is nobody that can compare to me. Guaranteed.
I think this is a very difficult laydown for Bruce. But it looks like he's going to make it. I don't know if I'd be good enough to lay this down. There are certain hands in David's range that he is betting for value that Bruce does have beat, though. But at the same time, you know, you can't like that board too much.
Sunglasses are off.
I fold.
Bruce is going to lay it down, and he's going to show his pocket kings to David. And David is going to win this hand.
It's a good laydown by Bruce there, and I like that David's not going to show him whether or not he made the right decision. You got to let your opponent stew on that for a little bit while you're still playing against him.
So a big hand there for the 4 seat of David Rosenblum. James Larson and Maria Ho coming to you from the Commerce Casino right outside of Los Angeles, California. Maria, I've got to ask you, being a professional poker player, when does fatigue start to set in for these players? Because they've been playing at this final table for several hours now.
Yeah, and leading up to this, they've been playing for 2 days straight, essentially, to get here. So fatigue is a big factor, and I think that's why, personally, I like to get into a good routine of working out right before I play, getting more energy throughout the day, and making sure to eat healthy throughout the day, because that really helps keep the energy level up throughout the entire final table. You can never be too sure how long it'll go on for.
255 is the raise total.
Chris is going to raise it up to $255,000 with ace king of diamonds. Fold it around now to Jonathan Chen.
I like this one.
Looks down at one queen and yet another queen.
Jonathan's putting Chris all in, and no doubt Chris is going to go with this hand. He's got 15 big blinds, ace king suited. He can't fold, and so it will be off to the races for these two, but Chris's tournament life at stake.
Ace king versus the pocket queens.
Hey, I'm Chris Hayden from Laguna Beach, California, and been playing poker for a living for the last 6 years, and finally a TV final table. Pretty exciting.
Chris with the two overcards, but Jonathan in the lead right now with his pocket queens.
The flop is 8, 6, 3, 1 diamond, so Chris has not paired his overcards, but he does have some running diamond possibilities or an ace or a king.
Jonathan doesn't look the least bit concerned. Turn card now is the 9 of diamonds, so some more outs now for Chris.
Chris has a 34% chance of winning this pot on the river.
Any ace, any king, or any diamond, otherwise Chris is going to be
King of
eliminated.
spades, king of spades.
And the river card, Maria, is the 10 of hearts, and that is going to do it for Chris. He's going to be eliminated in 6th place.
Chris taking home over $32,000, and for this professional poker player, just a little something to add to his poker resume.
It was great having Chris at this final table. A lot of fun, and we wish him the best of luck. The winner of the hand, Jonathan Chen. Little fact about him, he was the last person to register for the tournament. And he told me before this, his mom told him to quit poker and get a real job. Well, I think if he takes this thing down to the tune of just under $160,000, I think mom's going to change her tune.
And with that elimination, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to crown our newest HPT champion.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and Maria Ho. We're coming to you from right outside of Los Angeles, California this week at the Commerce Casino. Now, if you're watching this episode and you think you have what it takes, well, check out our website at hptpoker.com. Pick an event that will work for you, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. And speaking of life-changing cash, tonight our winner will go home with just under $160,000. Let's head back to the final table.
By the looks of it, only 2 players have comfortable chip stacks. Jonathan Chen, our chip leader, has $7 million. David Rosenblum has $5.3 million. Bruce, Peter, and Danny are all holding on to a lifeline here. They've got just over 10 big blinds each.
Action continues here at this nationally televised final table. Button will be on Jonathan. Under the gun here will be David Rosenblum.
When there's this kind of disparity in the chip counts, if you're a player with chips, you have to continue to keep the pressure on the short stacks. Basically, at this moment, only Jonathan and David can afford to play post-flop, so the other players are relying on picking up hands in order to double up, so you really have to continue that aggression.
Folded around now to Danny Geyser. He looks down at ace-queen, suited up in clubs.
Hi, I'm Danny Geyser from Redondo Beach, California. I'm a software engineer. This is my first HPT final table, and I'm going to take it down. Well, I've been on the market for a new car, and I think if I took down the big prize, that would definitely sway me towards the fancier, more expensive ones that I'm considering.
Danny's one of those short stacks. He's only got 10 big blinds. And so he's going to raise to $80,000. And I kind of like that because knowing Peter and what he's been capable of doing so far, he's willing to put it all in there. This time you can't really fault Peter for putting his 10 big blind stack at risk. Danny has him just slightly covered.
And the flop is 8-7 tray, couple of diamonds.
Middle card.
But you could tell Danny doesn't feel too comfortable about it because we have seen Peter come back from the dead before. He's still looking for a 9 here.
Peter from Pasadena, California, looking to improve his hand. 5 of diamonds now comes on the turn.
Another gut shot straight draw for Peter. Last time it came in. Is it going to again this time, or will Peter be eliminated in 5th place?
And the river card is the 10 of clubs, so Peter will not improve, and he will be eliminated, going home with just under $40,000.
Peter's 9 lives here at this final table is finally up.
Good game.
Great job by Peter
Thanks,
to
guys.
get these pay jumps, and now we are down to 4 players.
And not to mention for Peter, this is back-to-back final tables for him here on the HPT at the Commerce Casino. So congratulations to Peter, and I'm sure we'll see him again on the HPT. All right, the action continues here from the Commerce Casino, right outside of Los Angeles, California. Under the gun will be Jonathan Chen. He folds.
Cheap Porsche, but it's a Porsche now.
Oh, you wanted
That's
to Cayman.
getting there.
That's
I
enough.
think
Almost.
I'm at
You said
maybe
you
at,
wanted-
I'm at the BMW now.
No, Cayman's like 55-ish around there, right?
Yeah, the options are really expensive.
Base.
Yeah.
Now he's working on the options.
Yeah.
It's been a real roller coaster final table for Danny, as we saw in last week's show. He was up, he was down, but the important thing is, Maria, he's still hanging around here at this final table, and he's going to raise it up to $375,000 with his pocket tens.
Now that we're very short-handed with only 4 players left, you have to remember that hand ranges have to widen here. People have to open up their games, play a little bit more pots.
So you really have to tell yourself that I've got to switch gears at this point. You've got to tell your brain and tell yourself that everything changes a little bit now.
Bruce calls $215,000 from the big blind with King 7 of clubs. And we have seen Bruce a little bit loose with his pre-flop calls. He only has 13 big blinds, yet he's defending his big blind with his hand.
Flop is ace, jack, deuce, all spades. Bruce doesn't like it at all. He's going to check over to Danny.
Danny decides to check back, although he does have the 10 of spades in his hand. He just doesn't like the 2 over cards, I guess.
Turn card now is the trey of clubs.
But I think Danny should remember that if Bruce did have a hand that contained an ace in his hand, he probably would have just gone all in pre-flop with his stack size.
I don't think Bruce likes the spades. I don't think Bruce likes the ace, but he's grabbing for chips.
And that's the thing, is anytime you sense weakness from your opponent, most players are going to try to take a stab at winning the pot. And he bets $300K here, and I don't know, is Danny just going to give up here?
300,000 chip bet by Bruce. Like we always say, it's easier for us as we can see what both players are holding, but I think this would be a tough call for Danny. But he's going to make the call.
I think having a spade in his hand helps him make this call here.
And the river card, the 6 of spades. We'll see if Bruce fires out a bet here. It's the only way he's going to win this hand.
I think if Bruce goes all in here, he might be able to take this pot away from Danny, but 400K is not going to do it when Danny's got a flush.
Got a spade.
Danny makes the quick call, flips over his pocket tens. Bruce not happy. Danny's going to win this pot. No advantage there for Danny to raise in that position, Maria. He just made the call, flipped over his card, and he's happy as he's stacking those chips.
Blinds are still 80,000, 160,000 with a 20K ante. Button this hand is on Danny.
And we will start with Jonathan. Looks down at ace deuce. He's going to raise to 350,000. A rare fold there by Danny. Now over to David. David's a film editor, lives right here in Los Angeles.
David in the small blind calls with 10-7 offsuit. It's a bit loose from the small blind against Jonathan, who, has shown himself to be fairly tight and a good player.
And to me, Maria, it looks like Bruce is on tilt a little bit after those last couple of hands, so we'll see if he can pull it back together. And the flop is 8-5-4 rainbow.
David with a gut shot straight draw is going to lead into Jonathan, bets 475,000. And because Jonathan only has ace deuce, it's not a great board for him. Jonathan's going to have to decide if he wants to fold here or if he wants to try to take David off of this pot.
And it looks like he's going to do the latter as he raises to 1 million chips. Going to be very hard for David to make this call.
Jonathan senses weakness from David's lead into him on this flop. But like I said, David does have a gut shot straight draw and an overcard to the board. Does he want to try to go for the gut shot straight here?
No emotion by either player, Maria. This is why I'm not a professional poker player. I'd be hopping all over the place right now. You could read me like a book. And it looks like David is going to fold, so the winner of the hand will be that man right there, Jonathan Chen. Well, Maria, we're seeing some awesome poker here at tonight's final table at the Commerce Casino in your backyard right outside of Los Angeles, California.
Well, you know, cutting my teeth here on the felt at Commerce, I can say I've come across a lot of tough opponents, so I'm not surprised. Come back for more from this exciting final table here with the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT. We're at Commerce Casino just outside of Los Angeles, California. 4 players left here, all vying to take down the top prize of just under $160,000 and the title of HPT champion. Let's get right back to it. Jonathan Chen, still our chip leader, and he keeps gaining chips every time we check on the chip count. He has 8.7 million. David Rosenblum has 4.6 million. Danny Geyser has 3.5 million. And Bruce Kramer with just 3 big blinds battling to stay in the hunt.
Jonathan Chen, Maria, he's only 22 years old, a recent college graduate. If he wins this thing, just under $160,000. That's a lot of money for a 22-year-old kid.
I like the recent college graduate part. Stay in school, kids. Don't drop out to play poker.
As they say, it's a hard way to make an easy living.
Button this hand is on Jonathan. First to act will be Bruce.
He looks down at Jack Deuce. Bruce still just a little on tilt. He whips his cards in the middle. He's had a couple of bad hands, and he's still on tilt from that. Fold it over to Danny Geyser, never afraid to play a hand. Makes the call with 10-9 offsuit.
And David decides to raise here with Jack-7 offsuit.
You talked about it before. Four-handed, the play opens up a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely in blind versus blind situations, when the small blind limps into you and you have position in the big, you do want to take advantage and put the pressure on your opponent. Danny's not going anywhere, though. He calls with 10-9 offsuit.
And the flop is Queen 10-6, couple of clubs.
So Danny's connected with middle pair here, and he checks it over to David. David can't give up now. He's got to try to fire again. I don't think Danny's going to go anywhere, though, now that he's paired his 10.
David's going to bet 475,000 chips. Just like in last week's episode, we saw Danny play a lot of hands. He's not afraid to splash around, and he's going to make the call. Turn card now is the 8 of clubs.
So now Danny also has a straight draw and a flush draw to go with his pair. And Danny decides, I'm going to bet into you now, David, and he bets $625,000.
Action on David Rosenblum.
David has a gut shot straight draw. A 9 will give him a straight, but he knows that he doesn't have a club in his hand, so he wouldn't like it if the 9 of clubs came. I think that's why he's contemplating giving up on this hand.
And David is going to fold, so the winner of the hand is Danny Geyser, the software engineer. His plans for the cash, he wants to buy a better car. Don't we all want a better car? And by the way, if he wins this thing just under $160,000, he can buy a really nice car.
Well, I guess in California you want a better car since you spend so much time in it with all that traffic. That's my one complaint about California.
I'm not sure how you guys do it, but it's been great being out here. Weather, as always, absolutely beautiful. I want to thank everybody here at the Commerce, just treating us, it's like old home week coming back here to Southern California. Fold it around now to Bruce, and it's time to get them all in. He's putting them all in the middle. He's got Jack Tray of diamonds.
The money isn't that important to me. I'm actually very well set with money, and I play tournaments all the time, and I want to win first place so I can write a book. I actually have a lot of poker rules that I give to my friends, and they're always at the final table. Just like me. So as soon as I win a big one like this, then I'm writing a book.
And Bruce is whittled down to 2 big blinds here, so surely he's going to get some action. Danny calls from the big blind with 6-4 of clubs.
And Bruce just doesn't like the way this final table has ended here. Not done yet. You know, he's still got this hand to try to double up and stay alive, but he's had a few bad beats and a few mistakes, I think, if you go back to last week's episode as well. But he's got it all in here. Jack Trey going up against Danny's suited 6-4.
Bruce is slightly ahead going into this hand.
Bruce is flexing his muscles a little bit here for possibly his exit interview. The flop is 8-7-6.
So now Danny has paired bottom pair. No help to Bruce. He's looking for a jack here.
Looks very dejected. 9 of clubs comes on the turn.
So now a 10 could also help him. Not really sure why Bruce is standing up. He's got a few more outs now.
I think he just knows the way his luck's been going tonight that it's running out right now. River card, ace of diamonds, and that is going to do it. Bruce is eliminated, and for his play, he's going to go home with just over $53,000.
That will take it down.
Still a great payday. I'm not really sure if you can make that much on the bowling circuit, but it's a good amount of money.
Yeah, Bruce, a former professional bowler. His plans for the cash, he told me he wants to play more tournaments. Well, Bruce, congratulations to you, and we hope to see you soon on the HPT. Blinds are still $80,000, $160,000 with a $20K ante. And Maria, we are down to our final 3 players. Strategy definitely changes now.
There's over a 40,000 differential between 3rd and 2nd place. So it's really important with how big these pay jumps are getting that these players play smart and hang on for the pay jump.
Start with Jonathan. He's going to raise to $350,000 with ace-10 of clubs.
Jonathan has almost 2 times the stack of his nearest opponent, Danny. It's a big chip lead going into 3-handed play.
And Danny's now going to 3-bet to $900,000 with queen 9 of spades.
And I really like this 3-bet by Danny. I really like seeing how these players are stepping up, switching gears now that we're so shorthanded. But Jonathan makes the call here, and the flop is 5-4-3, 2 hearts.
And we'll start with Danny. We'll see if he'll fire out a bet. I assume he will.
1 million.
1 million chips. Jonathan quickly makes the call.
Jonathan just does not believe Danny here. He also has a gut shot straight draw to the wheel.
And there it is, Maria. The deuce of diamonds comes on the turn.
And that makes it a lot easier now for Jonathan to put Danny all in once Danny checks it over to him. And now Danny knows that the jig is up. He's going to let his hand go. 3 players remaining, all hoping to take down the title of being our newest HPT champion, as well as the almost $160,000 first place prize. Come back for more from this final table at Commerce Casino.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson, joined by professional poker player Maria Ho. We've only got 3 players left. One of these lucky 3 players will be our new HPT champion. If you haven't heard me say it yet tonight, the cash is just under $160,000. Truly life-changing cash.
Jonathan Chen has an overwhelming chip lead. He's got 11 million, more than double that of his nearest competitor, David Rosenblum, who has just under 4 million. Danny Geyser is on the short stack with just under 2.5 million.
All right, well, let's get right back to final table action here from the Commerce Casino Hotel right outside of Los Angeles, California. Button is on David Rosenblum, the film editor from right here in Los Angeles.
In 3-handed play, the button is also the first to act. Now there is a $40,000 differential between 3rd and 2nd place. So all of these players want to get to heads-up play and make that extra cash.
900.
All in.
Danny re-raises to $900,000 from the big with ace-queen offsuit, and Jonathan quickly puts Danny all in for his tournament life, and Danny's more than happy to call here with ace-queen.
He's in pretty good shape against Jonathan here. Ace-queen against ace-7.
Well, we all know who David is rooting for, though, considering there is that $40,000 pay jump he gets if Jonathan gets lucky on Danny.
And Jonathan has been running real well here at this final table. 2 8s and a king are the flops, so far so good for Danny.
A king or an 8 would chop this pot for the 2 players. So Jonathan's looking for a 7 to win. Danny's hoping that he could just double up here.
And the turn card is the 10 of clubs. Still no emotion from either player. It's amazing these guys can just stay so cool and calm with all this money on the line. So life looking pretty good here for Danny, hoping to double up. And the river card is the 7 of hearts.
Even Jonathan, for once, showing emotion, looking shocked that the 7 came. So unlucky for Danny.
Unbelievable. The 7 of hearts. Jonathan still looking to the board. He never expected to see it either. All the chips from Danny going Jonathan's way now. Tough way to exit this tournament for Danny.
Danny's going to take home over $70,000, but I'm sure he can't be too happy knowing that if he stuck around and got at least second place, he would have made $40,000 more. We have James down there standing by to talk to Danny about this very unfortunate and disappointing third place exit.
All right, joined with Danny, third place. Now, after this crazy heads-up table, it comes down to the river. How do you feel as the 7 comes on the end?
Just like Jeff Madsen did, it's been a table of bad beats, or at least river beats. You know, if you hit that on the flop, it wouldn't have felt so bad. Seeing it at the last card stings, but I've had a great time. This is, as I've mentioned before, my largest tournament cash. It's a great tournament. Thanks a lot.
You played great, and you told me before this your plans were to buy a new car. Now, you moved yourself up quite a few notches. You're going home with over $72,000. So what kind of car are you going to look for?
Well, I was looking for one anyway. It was going to probably be a Volkswagen GTI. Now, maybe considering a Mercedes, and first prize I might have considered the Porsche. So maybe the BMW.
Well, Danny, do me a favor. Hold on to some of it because we want to see you back at another HPT event. But congratulations on third. Real quick, who do you think wins this thing?
Oh, well, look at the chips, man. It's got to be Jonathan. It's nothing against David. He's a great player, too. But my money's on Jonathan.
All right, we'll see what happens. That is Danny going out in third place with just over $72,000.
Lines are 80,000, 160,000 with a 20K ante. It's heads up poker. David Rosenblum, the 58-year-old, taking on the young poker sensation, 22-year-old Jonathan Chen, who a recent Purdue graduate. He's just looking for a job.
Well, David's got his work cut out for him, though. Jonathan has an overwhelming chip lead, about $13.5 million to David's $3.9 million. Jonathan's played a solid and a smart game so far.
All right, David's going to make the call with Queen 4, and Jonathan is going to check the option. And the flop comes 2 10s and a 7.
Jonathan here just getting hit with the deck, getting lucky when he needs to, and smashing flops here. He just flops trips.
I have a check. And he wisely just checks right over to David, setting the trap, and David's going to bet 150,000 chips.
And if I were Jonathan, I would just check call here and just keep giving David the opportunity to bet.
This kid's 22 years old. He's calm, cool, collective. It's like we're just playing a home game here, back at Purdue University where he recently graduated.
Jonathan decides to fast play his trips here. I think he was hoping that David would have a piece and go with it. Either way, Jonathan's going to win another pot, extending his chip lead and his stronghold over this heads-up match.
Now, if Jonathan's mother is watching this, she really wants him to stop playing poker and get a real job. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Your son's doing a pretty darn good job here on national television. David's going to go all in with Queen Jack. Jonathan quickly calls as he's got Ace King of clubs. And Maria, this could be it right here.
Jonathan has the best hand here. Will it hold up? Either way, both players should be happy with their guaranteed 6-figure payday. Ooh, Queen 9-6. It's David's turn now to get lucky.
Good flop here for David as he goes ahead with his queens now. Jonathan got the ace and the king, and of course a backdoor flush draw. Another queen now comes on the turn. This time the queen of hearts, and Jonathan is drawing dead.
David will double up this hand, so unfortunately for Jonathan, he's going to need to get back to work.
Thanks.
Told you Queen's good.
Queen's been good all day.
Queen's been good since yesterday.
Since yesterday.
But really no harm, no foul. He's got so many chips here, Maria, but he's got to be careful because you can't let David get too close.
We've only got 2 players remaining, and they both want to take down that cold hard cash, but more importantly, that title of our HPT champion. Come back for more action.
Welcome back to the HPT. James Larson and Maria Ho. We are finally down to our last 2 players. It's mano a mano, heads up poker. Will your new champion be Jonathan or David? Let's head right down to the felt and find out.
After doubling up before the last break, David has managed to narrow the gap a bit, but Jonathan still has a 2-1 chip lead over him. Jonathan's got just under $11.5 million to David's $6 million.
Blinds now 100,000, 200,000 with a 30K ante. All that money up for grabs and a trophy here at the Commerce. But either way, Maria, both players will be going home with a 6-figure payday.
Things are looking pretty good for Jonathan, who, as you've said, James, was the last person to register for this tournament. Will he be the last player remaining? That would be quite an impressive feat.
It's quite the story. David's going to raise it up here to 400,000 with 9-8 of diamonds. And Jonathan is going to make the call with 10 deuce of diamonds.
I'm a recent college graduate, and as of now, I'm a professional poker player, but my mom is forcing me to get a real job soon. Her opinion's not going to change that much, but she just wants me to find her like a long-term career, so I just want to make her happy.
Flop is ace, king, 6, couple of hearts here.
Action will start with Jonathan. He's going to check over to David. David reaching for chips. He's going to bet 600,000, and Jonathan is going to quickly fold. You know, Jonathan's got a commanding chip lead here, but he's got to be careful. You don't want to let the door open for David.
In heads-up play, it's such an interesting dynamic. There's nowhere to hide. You're going to be expected to have to get involved and play a lot of hands. I think Jonathan will do well with this dynamic.
Heads up poker at its best. It's James and Maria coming to you from the Commerce Casino. Action will start with David. He makes the call. Jonathan is going to check his option with Jack 9.
In heads up play, the button is also first to act. The flop is ace, 7, 5, 2 clubs. Neither player has connected with this flop.
I know we've been playing poker for a long time here, Maria, but both players, they look like they're ready for a nap.
Both players check that flop. The turn pairs the ace. Jonathan checks. David checks. I think David having king high here, it's got to look pretty good to him.
River card is the 9 of diamonds. Jonathan's going to bet 300,000. David quickly makes the call.
David's going to see that he got rivered here. It's kind of a small pot, but any pot is meaningful when you're heads up.
Well, we will continue heads-up action here from the Commerce, but let's step aside right now for a fun little segment with Doyle Brunson that we call a Poker Life.
I'm really excited about this week's story with Doyle. He talks about the first time he saw poker legend Stu Unger play.
First time I saw Stu Unger, I wondered if he was old enough to be in the casino. He looked like a little kid. He was sitting on telephone books to be big enough to get to the table. And I knew right away that I found out he was the best gin player. And I'm sure that he was the best gin player that ever lived, for sure. I mean, he beat all the top players easily. And he started playing poker, and he wasn't that good to start with. What year was it he won? 82? Anyway, that year, he started out, and he was at my table for a long time. And if he'd had anything beaten, he would have got broken and been out of the tournament, but he didn't. But you could see the improvement in him day by day. I think it was a 3 or 4 day tournament. And it finally came down to me and him. Now, at this point, there was a little rivalry going on between me and Chip Reese, because Chip was showing his dominance at all the other games, and there was questionable who was the better player, me or Chip. And Stewie and Chip were good friends, and Chip was tutoring Stewie, and Stewie was getting to be good at the other games, but wasn't proficient at Hold'em yet when he won the first tournament. But make a long story short, he put a big draw out on me and he won. He beat me. So I came in second and didn't win my third championship.
A fascinating story, Maria, by Doyle, a legend talking about a legend in Stu Unger. We thank him for his time. It's a fun segment. When we come back, we'll head back to the Felt as we're at the Commerce Casino right outside of Los Angeles, California, trying to crown a brand new HPT champion.
Welcome back to the HPT. We are at Commerce Casino just outside of Los Angeles, California, and one of these players is going to take down the top prize of just under $160,000. Let's get right back to it. Jonathan, who started this final table as our chip leader, is still our chip leader in heads-up play now. He is in prime position to take down this title.
Seen so much great poker this week, as we always do, here at the Commerce Casino. Make sure to check out our webpage at hptpoker.com. Who knows? Maybe you'll be like one of these two players and playing for the life-changing cash at a nationally televised HPT final table. I like the trophy we have this year, too, as well. We gave a championship belt out, and this year we've got the trophy. I like it.
David looks down at Jack-9 offsuit from the button, and he limps in. Now Jonathan raises it up to $600,000. David quickly makes the call because, like I said, when you're playing heads up, it's time to open it up. And, you know, with Jack-9 in position, yeah, he'll see a flop.
And the flop is Ace, Queen, 10, couple of spades. Jonathan's going to bet 600,000 chips. And David now, coming over the top, he shoves all in. And Jonathan quickly makes the call.
600. David, with an open-ended straight draw, just wants to go with it. Jonathan hoping to fade the king or the 8, and this championship will be his.
And if he can do that, he'll be 22 years old, going home with just under $160,000. Life-changing cash.
The turn is the queen of spades. Good news for Jonathan, he's still ahead.
And he is one card away from being our newest HPT champion. We've talked about the money, but everybody wants to go home with the title, and he's one card away from doing that. And Maria, the river card is the 6 of hearts, and that is going to do it. Going out in second place is David Rosenblum, but a nice little payday for him, just over $112,000. But that man right there, Jonathan Chen, your newest HPT champion.
An amazing story with Jonathan being the last person to register for this tournament, and he is the last player standing.
How do you guys feel? Unbelievable. Last to register, last to stand. Jonathan Chen going home with the title. His mom wants him to get a real job. You graduated from Purdue. Nice little start, though, to your career here, as you're going to put just under $160,000 into the bank.
Still a great finish for David Rosenblum, taking home the second place prize of $112,000. Let's go down to James, who's going to talk to David about his final table experience.
All right, joined with our second place finisher here, David. David, you grinded the short stack. You made it heads up. The final hand there, you almost make a royal flush, but you had all the outs in the world, but you settled for second. What's going through your mind right now?
I survived some really dodgy play on my part. Got lucky in a couple of key spots, played well in a couple of key spots. I'm really happy with how it all turned out, I got to say. From Thursday through yesterday through today, it was a good few days.
I know it's hard to forget about this as we do this second place interview, but I need to remind you, you're going home with just over $112,000. How does that feel?
$112,000 better than yesterday.
Absolutely. And I know you're a film editor. You probably would have edited this a little bit differently, but still, not for nothing, a nice finish.
Thanks very much.
You
Thanks,
bet.
James.
David, it was a pleasure to have you here. He is our second place player. David going home with just over 112.
Our newest HPT champion, Jonathan, looks so happy, but a little bit shocked. I'm sure his mom is going to be real proud of him after this one. James is standing by with him to talk to him about how it feels to take this one down.
All right, folks, it's James Larson and Matt Savage joined down here with our brand new HPT champion. Give it up, everybody, for Jonathan Chen. He is the winner, going home with the hardware, the cash. You're 22 years old. This has all got to feel like a little bit of a dream for you. Your first ever cash, it's for just under 160. How do you feel?
I'm speechless, but I'm just really grateful how things turned out.
Real quick, talk about heads up. It didn't last long. David, a good player, had a lot of outs there. What was going through your mind on that final hand?
I was going to be sick if he rivered me, because then the match would have been close to even, and then anything could have happened. I was just extremely relieved to see that river brick.
Well, you talked about your mother. She wants you to get a real job. Yeah. Anything you want to say to Mom that's out there watching right now?
Hope I made you proud. I'll still try and find a real job, though.
All right. We had a lot of fun down here with Jonathan, and this is yours. So I just want this to sink in. It's not a dream. This is a reality. This money is yours. I think he's got a really huge career, and we'll see him again on the HPT.
Well, that wraps up our event here from the Commerce Casino right outside of Los Angeles, California. Jonathan is our winner. Just under $160,000. That is a whole lot of cash. Before we go, what did you think of the heads-up play at tonight's table?
I think that it kind of seemed like Jonathan was more taking the lead in the heads-up battle, but obviously David did a great job to get to the second place position, and Jonathan is our newest HPT champion.
And I'm sure we'll see them both here very soon on the HPT. Now, if you think you have what it takes to sit at one of these final tables, why not give it a shot? Visit our website at hptpoker.com. Pick an event that will work for you, and who knows, you may be playing for the life-changing cash. For Maria Ho, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.